Woke up this morning with my mind. It was set on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind. Set on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind. It was set on freedom. Hallelujah.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. We can't afford the cost of freedom. Since Adam was expelled from the Garden of Eden, a young boy is on an auction block, locked in chains. Old Wall Street, a livestock exchange. Chattel, treated like cattle for a trade. Dying to be free when he was born a slave. Never knew his father and his mother only raised kids that'll own her when they become of age. A lifelong job, no profit or wage. Death is the only reward they ever gave. Paid for hard work with hatred and rage. Betrayed by those that he was raised to obey. Caught him back in autumn with some other runaways. Beat him all night till he woke in the days. Locked in the box in the hotness for days. Faces like his lying in a shallow grave. Some for being brave, others for being afraid. The same outcome, whatever choice was made. Heard him sing a song about a place far away where the color of his skin and the sin, and he made the decision to stop dreaming of freedom, and he raised his head up, woke up, this is what he said.
Woke up this morning with my mind. It was set on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind. Set on freedom.
Get free, stay free.
Woke up this morning with my mind. It was set on freedom. Hallelujah.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. We can't afford the cost of freedom. Since Adam was expelled from the Garden of Eden, them young boys are selling rocks on the blocks where they raised. Till they make $1 and an option for change. No role model, him and Pop's been a stranger living only a block from where he stays. Never had a job for a profit or wage, but he came home with a watch and a chain. Mama praying for him, but she watching him change. Wearing one color when she watching him change, so she watching him gains on the spots where he hang. Calls from the school when they're dropping his grade. Said he had potential, now they watching it fade. Seen him run the block, round the house where they slang with them new sharecroppers with ounces of cane. Able to kill a brother with a rock, and he's saying that he won't stop till he shot, and he made his obituary and he throwing rocks on his grave. Cops came into the house in a raid, laid him on the ground, now he's locked in the cage. 25 to life, he'll be locked in a cage, in a jail cell was the first spot where he prayed.
Woke up this morning with my mind. Stay on freedom.
Get free, stay free.
Woke up this morning with my mind. It was stay on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Catch all the tears whenever you can. I'll be the breeze after the storm is gone to dry your eyes.
You claiming king is a massive exaggeration. Won't be fitted for the crown, but you fit for decapitation. And I see the big picture, they script for the silver screen. So I write songs that turn thrones to guillotines. You claiming king is a massive exaggeration. Won't be fitted for the crown, but you fit for decapitation. And I see the big picture, they script for the silver screen. So I write songs that turn thrones to guillotines. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, egotistical. Not trying to follow stars, these ain't old Negro spirituals. What's done in the dark can be bought in the visible. For those who think that them and their titles are indivisible, I endeavor to sever whatever's tethered to you. Pull your card, listen Jack, you a joker. King doesn't suit you, don't let the rope you. Climbed out the hole with confusion. You were only given enough to see what that noose do. Came from the bottom, but I think we've forgotten. They just gold-plated all of them chains that we were locked in. They changed whips, then slave ships became the yachts. Then we went shopping, picking designer label cotton. Now we fresh to death. How oxymoronic, dancing in that decadence. Decadence is sorta ironic. You got it, the little rings. They tell you that you the king with no kingdom. A king's dumb if he don't own a thing. You claiming king is a massive exaggeration. Won't be fitted for the crown, but you fit for decapitation. And I see the big picture, they script for the silver screen. So I write songs that turn thrones to guillotine. And they say off with this head, off with this head versus all hail the king. And then they sing the king is dead. They'll hate you after they love you, kiss you and then they cuff you, kin you and then they kill you. After they crown you, they judge you. Heavy is the head that wears the crown when the jeweler gives a man an inch, he swear to God he's a ruler. How do you measure a man? By what he holds in his hands? What makes the soul of a man think that what holds in his hands like he's God Almighty? But we live mortal lives, and I heard our words are the only things immortalized. I heard our words could serve to help demoralize a generation by what we're saying tomorrow dies. How can we expect the seeds we planted to grow and sprout when there's no kings reigning and there's really a drought? And maladroit rappers shining really photosynthetic. Young Queen C magazines where the photosynthetic and plants and planets subscribing to our issues. And little miseducated grows up to be misused by dudes claiming king, doing anything to impress. just to treat her like a concubine when she's an empress, just to get her pregnant with a little prince or princess, and never invest in their future, no bonds, no interest. Withdrew from memory banks and left no inheritance. Apparently a parent with no heir apparent is one that's worthless, no purpose and insignificant. What kind of king would ever sever his own lineage? One that's without a purpose, worthless and insignificant. What kind of king would leave his throne without someone to sit in it? You claiming king is a massive exaggeration. Won't be fitted for the crown, but you fit for decapitation. And I see the big picture, they script for the silver screen. So I write songs that turn thrones to guillotine. And they say off with this head, off with this head versus all hail the king. And then they sing the king is dead. They'll hate you after they love you, kiss you and then they cuff you, kin you and then they kill you. After they crown you, they judge. They say off with this head, off with this head versus all hail the king. And then they sing the king is dead. They'll hate you after they love you, kiss you and then they cuff you, kin you and then they kill you. After they crown you, they judge. They say off with this head, off with this head versus all hail the king. And then they sing the king is dead. They'll hate you after they love you, kiss you and then they cuff you, kin you and then they kill you. After they crown you, they judge you. Revolution starts with a thought that maybe sparks a violent end. If that's the only thing we have to overthrow a tyrant king, they let us out our chains, but nobody came to school us. Are still subjects and rulers, miseducated by tutors.
Is there to be no escape from living near Negroes? And what of the dream of middle-class respectability? If a Negro family can afford what you can afford, how do you justify your feeling of superiority?
A group of people only removed from slavery 80 years and only removed from the jungle by a few hundred years. Turn over to them the control of our entire civilization.
There's no niggers here, why should they even come, you know? They asked for it, they got it, so why'd they come back, you know?
The whites of the county never thought they mistreated the niggers, but there was never any question of equality. It just wasn't something to consider as far as the whites were concerned.
I don't believe that people of other races have the right to live here.
They have the right to live wherever they want to, but we have the right to choose if we want a white community also. That's why we moved here.
You believe, that's what you believe, excuse me. Why is it that there are people in this county, obviously, who are afraid of black people? What is it you are afraid black people are going to do? I mean, that's what I'd like to know.
I'm afraid because they don't care. They don't care.
No, what's stand up, what's that? You know. Do you mean they, us, the entire black race? The entire black race?
And you have niggers.
What's the difference between a black person and a nigger to you?
I've talked to black people. Black people, they don't want to come up here. They don't want to cause any trouble. That's a black person. A nigger wants to come up here and cause trouble all the time. That's the difference.
A new and much larger Negro middle class has grown up. Able, ambitious, and confident. These families are determined to leave the old, densely packed, segregated neighborhoods, and they're economically able to do it. They have the money to buy their way out of the slums. Can we prepare our communities to receive these new neighbors in dignity and peace? Or will we wreck our communities with violence and abandonment and panic?
I remember in my neighborhood as a youngster, more than ball players, I would look up to the hustlers. They drove the freshest cars, Lexus or something old school. They were the closest thing next to stars that I saw. At least around my way, you could hear him coming up the street from the sound he played. From his speakers, sneakers clean, never walking around, but his cars and clothes were never the talk of the town. It was really the medallion with the gold rope. Mama didn't want me around him because he's so dope, but I really didn't see him as a bad guy. Always threw a peace sign when he passed by. Always showed a little love when he came around and saw me and my friends chilling on the playground. He told me, little nigga, pass the ball. We stick around, we about to run the game of basketball. So I hung around and watched the game, man. Man, he even let me hold his watch and chain, man. And I can't lie, that made my day, wearing that gold chained piece while we watched them play. And I was young, so you can imagine my ignorance. Till this day I never really thought of the significance. Standing there wearing the symbol for God's love, paid for by selling his own people drugs. But who was I to judge him? Besides the prettiest girls around the way loved him. Kinda reminded me of an older cousin. Hell, I even had a couple of them that were hustling. And regardless of all of this self-destruction, man, their family, all you can really do is love them. And he ain't even really that religious. It may sound blasphemous or sacrilegious, but it reminds me of iconic Catholic pictures of patron saints they pray to ask forgiveness. He never wore slacks to dress in the shirt or step in the church unless his man's dressed in a hearse. He don't pray every day, so he's using the peace and the peace that's on his waist for rebuking the beast. Not the red hue type with the two horns, but the red and blue lights with the uniforms. K9s with the Glocks and cuffs, trying to get someone to testify to lock him up. So if he should die before he wakes, he pray to give another dope boy a spot to take, like another younger brother from his hood who would see him every day on the block and wanted to be him. Cause he don't know the perils of the dope game, and he just really wanna wear that rope chain, and never think about the drugs or the rocks. He just want the same love the hustlers got on his block. So you can imagine his ignorance. Tell his court date he never thought of the significance. Standing there wearing the symbol for God's love, paid for by selling his own people drugs. But only God could judge his soul. Well, maybe God and guys in black robes. Cause now you gotta ask him for forgiveness and probation to work out his repentance. But the judge yelling, can I get a witness? Wrote his life stories in with a life sentence. Black dog syndrome. Black dog syndrome. They won't accept the one that you bring home. Black dog syndrome. Hard to cut out hatred when it's ingrown. Black dog syndrome. You don't have to cross the road when you see me. Don't have to clutch your purse when you meet me. Based on the things that I see on your TV. Secretly, I think you wanna be me. I ran through your field, now I'm in your end zone. I shucked and I jabbed, now I sing your ringtone. Spray from a can on you, tan your skin tone, but that still won't kill this black dog syndrome. Depict us in pictures as violent and vicious. Blame us, we're aimless, devoid of ambition. Mama and daddy in Planned Parenthood should have been in them clinics in Planned Parenthood, and maybe they'd be better off. Maybe they'd be better off. Cause I'm going nowhere and headed that fast. No rearview mirror, my foot on the gas. No one would care if I burned and I crashed. Maybe I'd be better off dead instead, from broken home to foster home. They tell me daddy left me all alone. He was taken while making a living. Made bad decisions, got caged in a prison. Do you really serve the place that I live in? If I change my clothes, do you see me different? Am I bulletproof in a tan suit? Would you try and shoot? If you could see my heart before you saw my skin tone. Black dog syndrome. Is my resume the same? If it's too hard to say my name, am I one of the good ones, complexion accepted and separate from hoodlums? Is our friendship the basis for proving that you're not a racist? Do you say it when you're all alone in your home? Black dog syndrome. It's hard to cut out hatred when it's ingrown. Black dog syndrome. And that hatred is worse when it comes from in home. Black dog syndrome. Treat me like when I just say it in songs, and you still won't acknowledge that we've been wrong. I straighten my hair, lighten up my skin tone, but that still won't kill this black dog syndrome.
Black cat is bad luck. Bad guys with black. Must have been a white guy who started all that.
100 years ago, they used to put on a white sheet and use a bloodhound against Negroes. Today, they have taken off the white sheet and put on police uniforms. They've traded in the bloodhounds for police dogs, and they're still doing the same thing.
These are the same people as me. I mean, listen, these people, you have to get your arrest. You have to get everything that you're going to bring back to show you did something. So I can't arrest the judge's son that's walking around there. I'm not going to jack him up and search him, right? So I would go to the black neighborhood, and I would get my arrest there.
Did you think the black community all across the country was lying all this time? No, this is what they experience. They know it. You don't know it.
There is growing outrage tonight after
when
an unarmed African-American teenager was shot and killed by police in the St. Louis suburb of Ferguson, Missouri.
Protesters of different ages and races demanding answers in the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown at the hands of a policeman.
Heartbreak here in Cleveland. 12-year-old Tamir Rice playing with a gun outside a rec center. The gun turned out to be fake, and he was shot to death by a rookie police officer.
And then what does he do afterwards? He sits there like he hit a deer as Tamir is dying, gargling for his breath for a while, a long time. And the cop does nothing because that's not a human to him. It's not. It's somebody else, something else. You're not a part of either one of those communities. You're something entirely different. And everybody is a them. That's why when they do something hideous, like what they did to Tamir Rice, they group around and they still say we didn't.
The suspect being put into the back of a police van, that suspect, Freddie Gray, would end up with a severed spine. He would later die.
Tonight, fresh controversy as newly released dash cam footage shows a tense interaction between Sandra Bland and a police officer, quickly spiraling out of control.
If our society really wanted to solve the problem, we could. It's just it would require everybody saying this is important, this is significant. And that we don't just pay attention to these communities when a CVS burns. And we don't just pay attention when a young man gets shot or has his spine snapped.
We're running from the cotton fields, running late for work, running from a cop.
Uncle Trey.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about American history, please?
All right, you all tuned in?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Said all you happy where you are right now, or baby is your mind miles away. Hey, are there a million thoughts running through your head right now? And are they sounding too loud to stay? Now do you feel you're going out of your mind from time trapped in cages? Running but going nowhere, much to your amazement. Running but going nowhere, stuck up in amazement. To confine, defining enslavement. A slavement that a slave mentality is actually trapping me. A tragedy that I've accepted my fate so passively. Mad at me for not working smarter or working harder. Making capital, capitalizing on letters I thought of. Instead I'm working 10 to 6, struggling, pushing time clocks. While brothers getting 6 to 10 for pushing dime rocks. We both chasing the American dream. I woke up and realized what American means. It means we're running from the cotton fields, running from the chains, running late for work, running just to catch a train, running from a cop, blood running in our veins. Well, it feels like we running to freedom, one and the same. We're running from the cotton fields, running from the chains, running late for work, running just to catch a train, running for public office, running the campaign. Well, it feels like we running to freedom, one and the same. A slave escaping whippings, a man escaping prison, drinking our troubles away. It's all escapism, running up a tab, drinking without a chaser. Paper chase to replace the mule in the 40 acres. 40 days and 40 nights, working 40 hours. Buying 40 ounces with the last $40. Top 40 songs informing our priority to follow the majority of the minorities. How new your phone is, how big your home is. Rat race, keep up with the Joneses. Still feel like slaves even when we the owners. Sometimes I know I'm not as free as that man who's homeless, who walked up to me and told me he needed change. I handed him a little and told him I need the same. The strain of the mental change, too heavy for your brain. Free your mind and the rest will follow like dawn. And I'm saying, but the dawn went and came. Alarms didn't ring, and neither did freedom. We were sleeping begging for change. So if I wanna be different from that man that's panhandling, I gotta stop begging for change and start demanding it. Still running but nowhere you're going. Keep running but nowhere you're going. Still running but nowhere you're going. Keep running but nowhere you're going. We're running from the cotton fields, running from the chains, running late for work, running just to catch a train, running from a cop, blood running in our veins. Well, it feels like we running to freedom, one and the same. We're running from the cotton fields, running from the chains, running late for work, running just to catch a train, running for public office, running the campaign. Well, it feels like we running to freedom, one and the same. My car's broken, the repairs cost $1,000+, and no, I can't afford it or afford to save it up. I'm slaving, working extra hours, trying to make it up. I'm running for my life, I'm running just to take a bus. Waking up to make a buck, enslaving us, they say to just pray and trust. I do believe that that's a part of it, but them praying hands will stay empty unless you simply open them and put them to work to get down to the heart of it. The part of it's hard as this fraudulent artifice taught us. If we all would just work hard, we could take part in the promises of white picket fences. But if black picket signs for life make whites defensive, then maybe the intentions of the American dream were written in hidden colors, and the privileges didn't extend the skin to different colors. The system ain't flawed, it's just how they planned it to be. A black comedy where slaves built the land of the free. To me, we're running from the cotton fields, running from the chains, running late for work, running just to catch a train, running from a cop, blood running in our veins. Well, it feels like we running to freedom, one and the same. We're running from the cotton fields, running from the chains, running late for work, running just to catch a train, running for public office, running the campaign. Well, it feels like we running to freedom, one and the same. We're running from the cotton fields, running from the chains, running late for work, running just to catch a train, running from a cop, blood running in our veins. Well, it feels like we running to freedom, one and the same. We're running from the cotton fields, running from the chains, running late for work, running just to catch a train, running for public office, running the campaign. Well, it feels like we running to freedom, one and the same. Still running, but know where you're going. Keep running, but know where you're going. Still running, but know where you're going. Keep running, but know where you're going. Still running, but know where you're going. Keep running, but know where you're going. Still running, but know where you're going. Keep running, but know where you're going.
If I were originally from wherever I was in Africa, I couldn't find out where it was because my entry into America is a bill of sale. I was handcuffed to another man from another tribe whose language I did not speak. We did not know each other. And we could not speak to each other because if we could have spoken to each other, we might have been able to figure out what was happening to us. And if we could have figured out what was happening to us, we might have been able to prevent it. We would have had, in short, a kind of solidarity, which is a kind of identity, which might have allowed us, which might have made the history of slavery very different, the history of slavery in the North American continent. Well, that didn't happen. Here we are. I know how you watch as you grow older, literally. And this is not a figure of speech. The corpses of your brothers and your sisters pile up around you, and not for anything they have done. They were too young to have done anything. In any case, too helpless. But what one does realize is that when you try to stand up and look the world in the face like you had a right to be here, when you do that, without knowing the result of it, you have attacked the entire power structure of the Western world. If I, one fine day, discover that I have been lied to all the years of my life, and my mother and my father were being lied to, if I discover that in fact, though I was bred and bought and sold like a mule, but I never really was a mule, if I discover that I was never really happy picking all that cotton and digging in all those mines to make other people rich, and if I discover that those songs darkies sang and sing were not just the innocent expressions of a primitive people, but extremely subtle and difficult, dangerous and tragic expressions of what it felt like to be in chains, then by one's presence, simply by the attempt to walk from here to there, you've begun to frighten the white world. They have always known that you were not a mule. They have always known that no one wishes to be a slave. That we are not farming people out of existence in the name of freedom. If the freedom we were concerned about, then long, long ago we would have done something about Johannesburg, South Africa. If we were concerned with freedom, boys and girls, not as I stand here, be perishing in the streets of Harlem. We are concerned with power, nothing more than that. And most unluckily for the Western world, it has consolidated its power on the backs of people who are now going to die rather than be used any longer. Freedom is a muchly overused word. And it may not be as real as slavery, which is a very concrete thing. But freedom is what one's after. And as it cannot, I suppose, be given, then it obviously must be taken.